I woke up this morning to find out my world had turned around. Well, not actually my world, but Watopia certainly did. And this is how I did it. Got up my iPhone app, pushed this little button right here, and what happened? I turned around. Now I'm headed in the reverse direction. If I wanted to go back, I'd do it again. But today, this morning, we're just going to cover one lap of Watopia turned around. As you can see, I got off to kind of a slow start. I was looking around, trying to get some things set up. So kind of rolled off very easily. Had no idea of going for a fast lap. The only problem I had was I had to get to work. So I was only going to be able to do one lap, but it would give me enough to capture some video. So here we go, around, starting off on our first lap. Of course, this is when you're typically coming down to the finish line. We've got a very slight grade to flat at this point. And we're just going to ride along, and I'll pick up a little bit down the road. As you can see at this point, there were only 2 or 3 of us online. A Mercer there from the UK held the orange jersey. Doesn't look like anyone had had a chance at this point to get the other jerseys. I was just starting off, as well as M. Boucher, who is letting us know that he uses a kicker. Here we are coming into the rollers section, as I like to say it. I was curious to see how this would go. At this point, I was starting to pick up my pace just a bit, getting a little bit higher wattage. Again, was looking around to see who was coming on board. You can see that there are 4 of us here, but down at the bottom right-hand corner, you see there are 50 more. That means that there are 50 more riders, but they're all going in the opposite direction. And you can see them, I believe, coming, though I haven't seen one yet, only AI guys. That'll be interesting to figure out whether or not you can see the other riders coming from the other direction, or whether or not you can only see the people you're riding with. Ah, there went one. So questions answered. You can see the riders coming from the other direction. Again, in the rollers, it's pretty much the same as the other direction in that if you're on a kicker, you'll find, like right there, I just stood up, not really trying to change my cadence or anything, but it's just the roll of the ground causes you to react that way. Also have to admit, I was not focusing on my form or anything else like that, just out looking around, seeing what was there, looking for where the starts are for the various segments. For the sake of time, I'm going to speed things up just a little bit until we get to the first sprint zone. And here we are, though it caught me by surprise, so it wasn't until I was on the bridge that I realized that, whoa, here's the sprint segment. Maybe I can try for it. 16 seconds. I don't know how long this is going to take, so I just kind of kicked in to see what would happen and took the green jersey at 14 seconds, almost 15 seconds. Didn't know what would happen with that one, but now we can see I've got the green jersey. Mercer has the orange jersey. No one has a KOM at this point. And this is where you typically would begin at the end of this tunnel. This is where you would typically begin the green jersey sprint going in the other direction. So I figured the sprint finish areas, or the climbing areas, all the banners were going to be in the same place, obviously. It's just the start would begin coming the other direction. Oh, there, Jay Sharp just picked up the polka dot jersey, and I figured that would be the next thing that I would face. Was curious where the climb would start, and so we're going to fast forward a little bit until we can get to that point. I don't know exactly what it was, but everything seemed to be crisper visually, even the menus. When you log in, you'll notice there's a different setup for how you connect to the various devices that you have. Also notice on my Mac, you no longer see the bar at the top. Thinking about the various times where you start a segment, structures typically figure in. So I was thinking, hey, maybe at the end of this bridge is where the climb is going to start. You can see the alien riders up there. So I kind of approached the end of this bridge with anticipation and found that it didn't start there. So I was, well, we'll see what happens. So continued on. You'll notice I'm holding my wattage up a bit because I started thinking, hey, maybe I could get a good time on, oh, there you go, starts at the building. So right as I was getting started on the climb, Matthews stole the green jersey. So I didn't know what would happen, but with only about 5 of us or 6 of us on the island, I figured I stood some chance of getting some of the jerseys. So I began to pace myself on the climb. I could see that Jay Sharp did it in 280 seconds. So that got to telling me that this was going to be a longer climb, definitely longer than the one on the other side. And there I took Jay Sharp past him. So we've got Jay Sharp in the polka dot, M. Matthews in the orange, in the green, and A. Mercer in the orange. And so we're climbing. I typically have the ambient sound turned down a bit when I'm recording these, but if you can hear the trainer in the background, you can probably also hear me laboring with my breath. This is a proper climb. Of course, for someone that weighs around 172 on my light days, I'm pulling that up this incline, 3.1%. Doesn't seem like that much until you're pulling it over several minutes of time. But trying to hold around what I can typically manage, 350 plus watts. See if that would allow me to get up to D grand. Now, that's what makes this exciting when you're doing this for the first time, because you really have no idea, where is that finish? How far ahead is it actually? So you don't know if you're on a good pace or not. So you're just putting it down, trying to see what you can do on your limit, so to speak. Wasn't quite to my limit. 171 beats per minute is certainly something I can hold for 10, 15, 20 minutes. But if I start getting up around 178, then we're starting to really reach the limit. Now, M. Busher popped up there. I wasn't sure if I had a glitch and he had been there all the time and all of a sudden he was showing, or whether he had jumped in right at that stage. Wasn't sure. I noticed that the jerseys had disappeared, so that led me to think that maybe Busher had jumped off and come back in. Interestingly enough, it shows Jay Sharp with the jersey out to the left. I'm assuming that means he's holding the jersey from the reverse. But I look up ahead and it shows that D. Gran up on the top has the jersey. So I'm not sure what that means. Somebody's going to have to answer that question for us. It would appear that there are... Okay, now that jersey has disappeared beside Jay Sharp. I got some things to discover here. Oh, here's the finish coming up. Boom. And I got it. I beat DeGran by about 12 seconds. So now I had the polka dot, Mercer had the orange, and Matthews had the kicker. Now it was time to go downhill, which will be fun. Down toward the finish. So the next possible banner will be the start-finish line. So let's head down to that direction. And here we go, coming into the finish. I've always wondered, there's a little spot here, I think it's somewhere on the left. There's a little floating black ball, and I haven't been able to figure out what that is. If anybody knows, you can tell me. But here we are coming in. Oh, there it is, right to the left. Oop, just went past it. You see it going this way and the other way. But regardless, here we come to the finish, and there you go. Hey, I got myself the orange jersey, which kind of made me wonder, maybe if I go for it again, I can get the green jersey. So I decided to extend the ride just a little bit and come in for the sprint. This time I knew where it started, and so I began to come down a little bit faster so I could have momentum, knowing that my kicker would need to get spun up in order for me to get the wattage. So here we come into the bridge. It begins. Ooh, that's a good time, 1368. Still not able to get over 1,000 watts. Not sure if that's just me being tired or if something's changed with the kicker. But anyway, I've got it, and that gives me my first triple jersey and probably my last.